Interested in making filigree? This video will show you how to make all those wires. Welcome to another one of our videos related to how to make traditional Turkish filigree. If you're not familiar, filigree is an ancient form of metalwork using a variety of types of wires, usually out of silver or gold, soldered together into different wearable and sculptural forms. This video will go over how to make the wires necessary for making your own filigree. As you can see from this example, there are two main types of wires that are used in traditional Turkish filigree: the frame wire that tends to be a thicker or heavier gauge, and the filling wire, which tends to be a thinner gauge and made out of two twisted wires. So I would recommend starting with 22 gauge sterling round wire for the frame wire, and then rolling it just until you have it nicely flat, but not too thin that it starts visually getting too close to your filling wires. And then for your filling wires, I would recommend starting with 28 gauge fine silver round wire, and then we're going to get into how you'll be twisting those wires together and then also rolling those wires flat. So then you should have two different sets of wires that are easily visually distinguishable from each other, as you can see here with the thicker frame wire and the thinner twisted filling wire, and you just get that nice visual undulation along the edges of that twisted wire. The first step for working with any of the wires that you're going to be using for your filigree is to fully anneal them. Now, with smaller gauge wires like this, it's very important to both fully anneal them, but also make sure that you don't overheat or melt any sections of any of the wire. So you want to be sure that it is tightly coiled and that you're using a natural gas torch, which is a slightly lower temperature than, let's say, a torch using an acetylene tank. So you want to warm it slowly using a nice bushy flame and heat the coil of wire evenly. Just taking your time, flip it over at least once, if not several times. It's best to use a nice clean annealing pan, making sure that no other flux or anything else is going to get onto your wires, and just take your time and slowly anneal the wire. When you're ready to twist your filler wire, remember that it should be 28 gauge fine silver round wire. Insert the loop through, say, a hook or a screw eye that is set into a flex shaft, and then you'll wrap the other side of the wire around a dowel. Now you'll need a friend for this operation, and you'll see by the video how this operation is going to go. Okay, so this is a team project here. So one person is going to be slowly running the flex shaft so that it is slowly twisting the wire, while the other person, in this case the person holding the video, is going to maintain just slight tension on the wire so that it doesn't sag, but that it is not held too tightly that it might cause the wire to snap. And then just continue with the slow process of the flex shaft, so you're continuing to twist and twist the wire. Now it should be fully twisted around nice and evenly, but without starting to double over itself and retwisting a bundle of the two wires that has already been twisted. So go slowly with this, take your time with it, be patient. It is possible that the wire can snap during this process, so you want to make sure that both people doing this process are wearing eye protection, and just go slowly, don't rush this, and take your time with it. If it does snap, don't worry about it. Save those silver scraps and then rewrap it around the dowel and continue your twisting process. And you can always stop and inspect the wire closely with an optivisor to make sure that you're getting a fully twisted pair of wires, but that it is not starting to over twist and retwist around itself. So you just want a nice even bundle of two twisted wires. After twisting your wires, make sure that you coil it up and evenly bind it to be annealed again. So again, with the natural gas torch with a nice bushy flame, Just take your time slowly annealing it, making sure that you're not overheating any area, but that the twisted wires and the complete bundle is fully annealed before you're ready to roll it down flat. And after it's annealed, remember to fully pickle it and rinse it so that the wire is completely cleaned and completely dry before rolling it. Now, before rolling any wire, you want to make sure that it is straight as possible. The best way to do that is to just stretch the wire just slightly, and that will fully straighten it. You don't want to hammer on the wire because that can harden your wire that you just annealed. So you're going to grab the wire with one end in a vise and the other end in vice grips or draw tongs, and you're just going to exert just a little bit of force necessary. You'll feel the wire stretch ever so slightly. It may even snap at the end, but you'll get a very wonderfully stretched and straight wire that hasn't hardened it too much, so then it'll be able to be rolled nice and straight. Now, in order to make your filigree wire, we are going to have to break the rule that no wire should go through the flat side of the rolling mill, usually reserved for sheet metal. In this case, it's not going to harm the rolls because it's fully annealed small gauge silver wire. Now, when doing this, you need to be sure that the wire is placed in the middle of the rolls and that slight tension is held as you're feeding it through the rolls. So make sure that you have no warpage of the wires as you're feeding it through the rolling mill, or else they will not be usable for your filigree. So preset the rolls. You can test it with some scrap pieces of wire to make sure that you have the right thickness, so that when you're rolling down your filler wire, that it ends up being approximately 29 gauge. So maintain that tension. Feed the wire through the rolls. In this case, it's a power rolling mill, so the rolling mill motor is doing the job of feeding it through. It's essential to use the power rolling mill for this so that there are no start and stops in the wire. That will also cause slight kinks, which will affect the quality of the filigree wire while you're working with it. So just maintain that tension. Keep the wire feeding nice and straight and smoothly through the rolling mill until you fed through your entire section of wire. So I hope this video has been helpful for you in learning the specifics of how to make both the frame and the filler wires for making traditional Turkish filigree, and I hope you're excited to make your own pieces. So good luck! If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can hear from me when I post future videos. Thanks for stopping by.